I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but silver prices are unfortunately rigged. Silver price manipulation is an extremely controversial and complex situation, some even thinking it's a conspiracy or a myth. Well, today we're going to look at why banks would suppress the price of silver, to what degree these prices are manipulated, and most importantly, will silver's natural price ever truly unfold? Now, silver price manipulation is like an iceberg. There's the tip of the iceberg, the common knowledge that everyone knows, but below the surface, it gets a lot deeper. So, I had to do some digging like always, and I brought 3 different articles to the table for the sake of this video. It's going to be a good one, so stick through, because at the end, we got some stuff to talk about, folks. First article is what you need to know about silver price suppression. The second article is why is it so important for banks to suppress the price of silver? The third article is particularly interesting because it talks about silver price manipulation fact or fantasy. Now, I like this one because they interviewed a group of people in 2011, found out how many people thought this whole thing was a conspiracy or fact, and then a decade later in 2021, they interviewed a group of people. And to see how many more people now believe this thing is pretty insane. So before we jump into that, make sure you go to bulliamax.com/silverslayer if you already haven't purchased the silver starter kit. 5 ounces of silver at below employee pricing. This is only one per household. You can only get this once, and it's a limited offer. Comes with a Type 2 Eagle, a 2022 Kangaroo, a 2022 Britannia with the new security feature, a 1 ounce round, and a 1 ounce bar. But it is very important to remember that it's free shipping on orders over $199. Obviously, this deal is not that, so grab an ounce or two extra to break that threshold. You never want to pay for shipping costs anytime you buy your silver. And if you want to check out any of the links that we cover in today's video or the BulliAmax discount sale, then make sure you go over to the description because that's where all of the links will be posted. So what you need to know about silver price suppression. We've all heard about manipulation in the precious metals markets with its complex web of accusations, court cases, denials, and theories. In today's post, we're rounding up some of the most alarming headlines around silver and gold price fixing, hearing from industry experts on why this phenomenon is endemic now more than ever and how we can all take a stand. Precious metals market manipulation in 3 headlines. Now, in September last year, JP Morgan agreed to pay $920 million in a settlement and admission of guilt for the illegal practice known as spoofing. Now, spoofing that's the tip of the iceberg, right? That's what most people know about price suppression. Spoofing, which a lot of banks have been caught doing this. The Dutch Bank, Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan obviously is the mascot for this. They are the shadiest bank in the world, hands down. But this is how it works. They go on an exchange, right? And they'll place a whole bunch of false buy or sell orders with the intention to cancel the order. But the hard part about this situation is that you're allowed to cancel orders. So how can you catch someone with the ill intent to do so? Well, judges really didn't penalize anyone too much for this until a couple of years ago. I literally remember when they came out saying they were going to crack down on spoofing, probably in 2019. I so vividly remember making that video because I was happy. I said these guys are just getting a little slap on the wrist, but if they start actually getting penalized and fined, they might hesitate or think twice. And last year, the craziest thing I could have imagined happened, but it should have happened a while ago. 3 of JP Morgan's employees actually got sent to prison, and another employee actually got sent to prison for racketeering. Now they are finally cracking down, and they are actually backdating decades looking into these banks. I'm sure it goes on a lot heavier than people know of, and I'm sure a lot of other banks do it. But regardless, if you're working for a bank doing this and now you know that you might actually go to prison for it, you might think twice. So, in September last year, JP Morgan agreed to pay $920 million in a settlement and admission of guilt for the illegal practice known as spoofing. flooding precious metals derivatives markets with the order that traders don't intend to execute a trick others into moving prices in a desired direction, right? That's the part about spoofing that really works, is that everyone else on that exchange sees all this crazy price action and volatility, so they change the way that they're investing on there, and they basically move the markets in whatever direction they wish. Now, I've made probably 15 to 20 videos on when these banks get caught, and JP Morgan is almost always the star of my video, but several other banks also do get caught. Now, this is a prime example of when judges really didn't care, when it flew under the radar. In 2016, the Dutch bank agreed to pay $38 million. But you see now in 2019, JP Morgan had to pay $920 million. They're starting to crack down now. And in 2019, when they announced that, I was just so happy, because price manipulation definitely affects the price, but it's in smaller increments. It's not as long-term as you would think, because prices do get pulled from a lot of other things besides just that. The dollar index, stock market volatility, gold's price, supply and demand. There's so many other factors. So yes, this goes on. This is usually just a quick fix for banks to profit, and then the markets usually stabilize after. So experts say manipulation may not be a thing of the past, and that's definitely true. Now, we're going to talk later in the video why I think that price suppression will not be able to last forever, and there's going to be a much bigger factor to kind of outplay that. Now, the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, or GATA or GATA, is one of the main voices demanding accountability and transparency across the precious metals industry. GATA chairman Bill Murphy recently told LoadPay Media that the situation is now more dire than ever. There's been nothing like this price suppression in history, he said, calling the current state of the precious metal market a complete orchestrated fiasco. For Murphy and other vocal critics, gold and silver price fixing and manipulation is not going anywhere. In fact, according to GATA newsletter, recent interventions could not have been more obvious. So this happens a lot, and we actually see this time and time again where the price will go really crazy for a day or two, and then it drops back down. This happens, various times over the year. Now, the real fraud is phantom silver. Taking a different angle on the manipulation issue, David Morgan, precious metals aficionado of LoadPay Ambassador, says it's important to look beyond the noise of these headlines to the real story, that banks are charging unwitting investors to store silver that does not physically exist. Mentioning that on the SLV, the PSLV, those contracts are non-existent silver. That's why I say that every ounce of silver that you have, 50 or 100 other people theoretically own that same ounce, but if you can't hold it, you don't own it. And David Morgan, which his nickname is the Silver Guru, is spot on, directly on everything I stand for on this channel when it comes to the silver shortage. A lot of people undermine it, underplay it, but my channel mainly nowadays talks about silver scarcity, the silver shortage, supply and demand. And David Morgan, he's exactly on board, especially with the new green revolution and how we don't have enough silver for that to be possible, right? It's like a fantasy world. But when people really do realize and understand the severity of the silver shortage around 2027, when I say like triple-digit silver would be happening, that's when people realize silver's true value. Also, Mike Maloney, Keith Newmar, several other people are spot on with what I also agree and think is going to happen, which will also get rid or surpass price suppression and how that affects the price of silver. So, anyways, let's jump into this other article because I really want to see why banks suppress the price of silver. So, it's talking about bullion bank trading desks, which are routinely short thousands of metric tons of digital silver, are once again attempting to keep the price below the 200-day moving average. And by the way, banks want this digitally to kind of to sweep this under the radar, right? They don't want those contracts to get turned in. It would expose the shortage. And why is this so important to the banks? For most basic reason of all, greed and profit. Greed and profit. The dollar index and the price of precious metals are directly negatively correlated. When the dollar index is high, gold and silver is low, and vice versa. So And by the way, the dollar is a direct threat to gold and silver, but more importantly, gold and silver is a direct threat to the dollar. That's the part. That makes sense why. Banks don't even acknowledge silver as money anymore, even though silver was the original money even before gold was. The only data available to measure the size of the bank net short position in the COMEX silver comes from the corrupt and compromised CFTC. Though it seems useless to use CFTC generated data, unfortunately, we have no other choice. To that end, as the most recent reporting, we find bank positions as follows. So it goes into all these net positions and contracts. If you really want to read over this, then you can. I'll post a link to this article, but we're already getting pretty deep into the video, and I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. Let's go into these numbers from 2011 to 2021. However, a decade, people now think or realize that this price suppression is real and not so much a theory anymore. So, silver market participants can be downright passionate when it comes to the topic of silver price manipulation. What are the key events and theories? From the Hunt brothers to social media silver squeeze, silver price manipulation is a long-standing and much discussed feature of the silver market. Now, if you didn't know, the Hunt brothers in 1980, 3 different brothers cornered the market. Now, they changed the price of silver from around $9, $10 up to $50, the highest price silver's ever been, still till this day. Some say they owned up to 77% of the global silver supply. Yes, 77%. This was all on the COMEX, right? But what they did was turn all those contracts into physical delivery. Now, obviously, the government wasn't going to have that. That would expose a silver shortage. We don't have enough silver. So you know what they did? They banned silver. They banned silver on the spot. Silver Rule 7 banned it. You couldn't buy it on the COMEX. You had to sell it, and you had to sell it back to the banks. Basically like gold confiscation, but just in a different type of way. Now, this caused a lot of panic and chaos, so people panic sold and shot the price back down to $9, which was around Silver Thursday when the price nearly crashed. Well, the price did crash more than 50% within a very short amount of time. Now, the Hunt brothers were buying both physical and silver futures. We're taking physical delivery, like I just said, instead of settling for cash. I just explained all this. Now, then it goes into Wall Street Silver, which also tried to corner the market, got the price up to $30, the highest price silver's been in a decade. They did that within a few days, which is pretty impressive. Now, obviously, silver price manipulation or suppression goes much deeper than just buying, just money going in. It's much deeper than that, and that's why it only lasted for X amount of time. And this kind of goes around my point with my silver raid, and it's not really a raid because, the raid, the word raid is so stereotypical, I guess, and now people just completely peg it to we're trying to push the price of silver up, which that's not my point. On May 15th, I put together a raid, but I guess I shouldn't have worded it that way because it's more like a go buy silver day, like a national go buy silver day, where all of us come together and buy silver. Now, Wall Street Silver was using, that was the biggest news on the internet. That was a lot of money going in, a lot bigger than just me making a video with 5,000 views telling my friends to buy silver. If people, and a lot of people were mad, really thought that a couple hundred silver stackers would affect the price or even push premiums up, you really don't understand the depth and complexity of price suppression. So anyways, here's the theory that for at least 4 decades now, gold and silver analysts and investor market participants have debated the validity and allegations for concerning precious metals price manipulation through the COMEX futures contracts by a cartel that supposedly included a group of large banks, notably JP Morgan and the U.S. Federal Reserve and Treasury. So they investigate this. Obviously, this goes a lot into what we just covered. So this is the numbers. Back in 2011, INN asked readers the question, do you believe that silver market is rigged? 66% of respondents answering yes at the time. 66% of everyone they asked said yes. Now, One of those analysts was Jeffrey Christian, the partner of CPM Group. I cover a lot of his articles. Very, very well respected in the silver community. And then Christian has never been shy when voicing his position on the topic of manipulation. And then he commented to end, over 90% of those invested in physical silver are not in conspiracy theories. They are not the guns and bunker crowd for whom silver is not just an investment, it's a religion. And then in 2011, Silver Summit, hosted in Spokane, Washington, featured a debate on whether precious metal prices are rigged. And this was moderated by Andrew Bell. Conversation featured Christian and Bill Murphy, chairman of GATA, Gold Antitrust Action Committee. So, it just comes on gold and silver price suppressions, blatant, almost beyond comprehension, and, yada, yada. So let's go into the 2021 question of if markets are manipulated. In response to the silver squeeze excitement on Reddit and other parts of social media in early 2021, into Twitter asked the question, do you believe silver markets manipulated? This time, an eye-popping 95.6% nodded yes. 95.6%. And that was because they saw Wall Street Silver try to corner the market, got the price of $30, but the price went back down, showing that silver prices go a lot deeper than just money going in and why it doesn't work. Now, some people think that that's why premiums got so high, but I beg to differ, because the main coin that has crazy high premiums are American Eagles. Well, American Eagles ran out of silver in 2020, and that's when the first admission of a silver shortage came to light for the public. And I was really excited when that news came out because we all knew it, but the U.S. Mint actually ran out of silver in 2020. 2021, they admitted the reasoning. They don't have enough silver blanks. Well, in 2022, actually, this is my latest video. I highly, highly, highly recommend you go watch that video. It's talking about the legal side of this situation now, where the U.S. Mint is screwed. And it's talking about how they're non-compliant with the demand, and that's because the price they have to pay, and it's just a messy situation. They are in violation of several different codes, and it's a serious situation, and that's why Eagles are the coins that have a high premium, not so much other mints. This is beyond anything I could have imagined on the depths of the U.S. Mint, and I highly recommend you just go watch that video. That's the real reason these premiums are high, not from a squeeze. Now, anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. It's extremely long. I'm curious what you think about this video. If you thought it was educational, informational, at least entertaining, make sure to hit the like button. I post daily videos. 2 videos on the weekdays, 3 videos on weekends. Sometimes if I make a big video like this, I might just make 1 video for the day, but I might make another one today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. I appreciate all the support. You remember, check out bulliamax.com/silverslayer if you want a chance to purchase silver at below employee pricing. Remember, though, it's free shipping on orders over $199, so take advantage of that. So, yeah, make sure you subscribe. That's an important thing. Lots of giveaways, a lot of different things coming up that I know you want to be a part of. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.